Assalamu alaikum everyone, Exhibition Cadet Saber Shah from my channel, Aviation Cadet 9936. Today is February 15th, and in the US it's still Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to everyone. About 6 years ago on this day, a tragedy happened in India where 40 of the retired military personnel were killed in a suicide attack. Allegedly, a teenager from Indian-occupied Kashmir attacked a convoy that was taking the retired military people to their whatever place it was, and 40 of them got killed in action. So in order to retaliate on about that attack, India planned an attack on Pakistan that was commenced on the night between 25th and 26th February, and they call it Operation Bandar, in which 16 of Mirage 2000 were used with Israeli Spice 1000 BVRs, or standoff weapons, you could say, and a bit of BVRs too, and with the help of their own EW systems like the WACS, and the IL-78 fuel tankers. They dropped a few bombs in the territory of Pakistan, targeting kind of school for children that was missed by a mile or two, and one of our crow and a few trees were killed. And that was the time when Indian Prime Minister Modi said that if they had Rafale, the result would have been different. And actually, he suggested a very good thing, that because that is a cloudy night, so India should attack so the enemy cannot see us.
लेकिन मैंने कहा इतने क्लाउड है, बारिश हो रही है, तो एक बेनिफिट है कि हम राडार से बच सकते हैं.
Seriously, that was a suggestion given to him, to his Air Force, that in clouds, Pakistanis won't be able to see them, so that's the right time to attack. I think they heard him, so that's why they came in the morning, around 2 o'clock local time, and they just went back. So it's a very long story, but in order to commemorate this day, because that was a proud for Pakistan Air Force, because after that day, just 36 hours later, Pakistan commenced their attack and showed India what Pakistan is capable of in the name of Operation Swift Retort. And in that operation, 4 Mirages were used. Now, as every piece of news is in public domain, so I can clearly say the names and the call signs and the pilots' names even, because back then when I made the video on Operation Swift Retort, there were a lot of things which were not in public domain, so I kept them in privacy. I didn't mention those things. So 4 Mirages were used, Mirages 5s. 2 of them carried H-4 SOWs, which are standoff weapons, and about 2 JF-17s were used, and they carried MK-83. We call them USB, and unlimited numbers, unspecified number, not unlimited, that would be too much. Unspecified numbers of F-16s and JF-17s were backing them up. So the killers were 6 in number, not 4 Mirages 5, because 2 of them, they dropped the weapons, and 2 at the back, they control the weapon. Those Mirages that dropped the weapons were single seaters, and the Mirages at the back, they were the dual seaters, 10 of seating arrangement. And one pilot flies the aircraft and the other one controls it. So as soon as you drop the weapon, you just pull up the crank maneuver and you disappear. And then the guy in the back, Gibbs, they control the rocket, the missile or the bomb with the eyes, and there's a TV screen, and it operates using a joystick, and then that is dropped at whatever position they want to drop it at. And if the visibility is poor, if there are many clouds, just in case of Indians, it happened. It was cloudy morning, and they were not laser-guided missiles, and there were many problems when Indians dropped those missiles. They were not prepared well. They didn't know about the basics of this terrain, the hilly area. So a lot of factors involved, and that's why they couldn't reach the target. Pakistan missed the target on choice, because we don't want to escalate things, and we want to tell them that we are always ready for you. Well, these H-4s were inducted into Pakistan Air Force in 2003. They were, back then, they were like just normal bombs, in which the Mirages, they go into a deep dive and then drop them before the target and run away. But in 2003, Pakistan put up some kits with these bombs and made them almost 120 kilometers range. So this Rajouri sector, the nearest one, which was attacked first, that's about 50 kilometers from LOC, the Azad Jammu and Kashmir, which is also called Pakistani administrated Kashmir. So none of the aircrafts needed to go towards to cross the LOC, just like the case. Indians, they did cross LOC. They came into Pakistani administrated Kashmir, and they dropped the weapons because they had to get into that territory in order to commence that attack, or complete that attack. They were not successful. International observers, according to their reports, I will not quote any Pakistani media outlets. Although the next day, the international media outlet people were invited onto the site, and they were shown that nothing has been damaged apart from a crow and a few trees. So this was the basics of what has happened in Pahalgam. This was the Pulwama attack. For me, that was a false flag attack, because there's no way that 900,000 troops are present in that area and anyone can carry that amount of, explosives from anywhere. And then not only that, he can fill a car up with that and then hit that car into that convoy. It's close to impossible. In Pakistan, these things happen, but Jammu and Kashmir, that's because I am from Kashmir, and my parents were from Indian occupied Kashmir, and we know the territory, the restriction on the movements because of the hilly area. There are mostly there's only one road, and carrying that amount of explosives and crossing the mountains on foot, well, that's not actually possible once you have that much surveillance. So it would take you days to bring that thing in. Okay, people could say that, well, maybe they took their time. So they prepared a teenager who's like, 19? Less than 19, I think. And it took them 3 or 4 years to bring that in. So they were brainwashing that person for 4 years. Come on, give me a break. The problem is that, for me, it's a false flag. For Pakistani authorities, it's the freedom fighters who are fighting for their referendum right in Kashmir. They did it. And for Indian, it's the terrorists. So one person, 3 different opinions. It's easy for Indians to, buy someone or sedate someone, get him under intoxication, and do the things like the way things are being done in Pakistan by the TTPs, the Taliban's. Now we call them Fitnatul Khawarij and BLAs. We call them Fitnatul Hind, Indian-backed BLAs. So that's how they sedate, and they blackmail even a lot of people to commit these kind of acts, these heinous acts against humanity. Sex slaves, like women, they're using nowadays. So there are many things, a lot of ways. So that's why I go more towards the false flag theory, because anytime any elections happen in India, something happens in India. Not between those times. See, even the Pahalgam attack was before Bihar elections, and the Pulwama was before the general elections, and then Pathankot, and then you talk about all these previous attacks. Everything happens before BJP is going to be in a major election. So they get their sympathies, their votes on the basis of hatred toward Pakistan. But Pakistan is a little different kind of breed. So this was all about the Operation Swift Retort. Pakistan Air Force, once in terms of SOWs, the standoff weapons, we were self-sufficient in the year 2003. And this happened in 2019. So for 16 years, what our pilots do is to train themselves against a bigger force. So all our exercises are based on that. Even in the squadrons, once we are having the dogfights with each other, it's always 1 to 4, 1 against 6, 1 against 8, 1 against 16 even. So this is the criteria for Pakistani pilots to practice these kind of things. So this was not only Pakistani pilots' supremacy shown in the air, but also the air defense and the EW. Because these two wings supporting the fighter pilots, how they jammed. For example, Abhinandan was listening to the song. This is reality. That's how they jammed the signals. And the way air defense knew each and every movement of the Indian aircrafts in the area. Indians they also caught by surprise, because they were expecting that we were as coward as they are, and we will attack during the daytime. During the nighttime, as they did all the time, both the times, even last time. The Pahalgam attack afterwards, May 7th, and February 25th and 26th night. So it's always they are coming into our areas during the nighttime. We go during the daytime, because religiously it's also forbidden for us to attack during the nighttime. And so we did both the attacks during the broad daylight time. One was defense. May 10th was our attack, and no one knows the casualties in that area about them. So once the Indians has commenced their attack and they missed the target, but now Pakistan had to reply. So we are always ready. And again, for our rivals, I think I did mention that one, that once we were the fighter pilots, once we get to do the targeting practice on the rifles, we have Indian flag in front. Trust me, the target is the Indian flag, and this is how our morale is being boosted up, but not for the commoners. The commoners are not based on this, because we are fighting the survival for our country from 1947 onwards, because they say India is the Atut Ang. Atut Ang means the broken part. Pakistan is the broken part of India, and it has to be a greater India. And they would get us in one day. Judgment Day, I think. So that's why we fight for ourselves. So we were ready. So once the leadership, the political leadership, and the military leadership sat together and all the plans were set, so we said we'll go during broad daylight time. So 26th morning, India was waiting. All their patrolling aircrafts were in the air. Their AWACS were there to monitor Pakistan's reaction, we were cool and calm. So the day went over, the evening went over, and early in the morning of 27th, they let their guards down. Even if their guards were up, they could not have done anything because the target we chose, we already knew where to bomb, what to do. All the pilots, they had their instructions given. So once the Mirages, the Rhinos, the JF Thunders, the Nussers, and the F-16s, the Vipers, and the Sabres. These were the call signs for all these aircrafts. And once they were already en route, they already made their plan. So at that time, there were 4 bogies flown from India as Cobras. Call sign was Cobra 1 and Cobra 2 for Abhinandan and his counterpart Squander, something, I forgot his name. And the second one was Vulture 1 and Vulture 2. Imagine that. Vulture 1, these were the Su-30s that took off from another base, I think from Gwalior. And, oh no, that was the Mirages, the Mirage 2000s on February 26th, Indian attack. They took off from Gwalior. So Vulture 1, Vulture 2 takes off from one base, and from Srinagar, Cobra 1 and Cobra 2 are given orders right after the attack. Once Pakistan was commenced, it took like 28 minutes for Pakistani aircraft to finish their mission and go back and land it. So then the air defense warned that some of the aircrafts are coming towards the line of control again, and really in a very fast speed. That was the MiG-21s, 2 of the MiG-21s and 2 of the Su-30s. And that was the time when the F-16s, they got in action. They were summoned, so the F-16 were in the area and to defend the skies of Pakistan. And this was the time when Abhinandan was actually called off by Minty, the flight Lieutenant Minty, the air defense officer of theirs, that you are being tracked, so return. But he was only listening to so this is how 8 of the targets were locked, 4 on the ground and 4 in the air. All these 4 were locked, and Pakistanis were ready to, Pakistani pilots were not given the orders of attack. So once 2 of them got very close, one was in a turning position. Su-30 was turning back. They didn't want to cross the Yellow Sea, but MiG-21 was just coming straight. So that time, the chief of air staff ordered to commence the kill. And then from our side, Viper 1 and Viper 2, they commenced the kills. And within 2 minutes of time in between them, the first one was, of course, the MiG-21, and the second kill was the Su-30, which India denies, but we have the electronic signatures. So as soon as a missile is fired, so the pilots, they crank. Now, the May 27th was a little bit different. May 7th operation, because it was total BVR fight. It was not a standoff weapons being dropped. So in a BVR fight, what Indians, the traditional ways Indians used, once a BVR is fired, okay, now it's off the payload and it's going towards the target, then the aircraft cranks towards a certain angle, about 45 degrees of angle, and it guides the missile towards the target for a certain period of time as soon as the initial radar of the rocket or the missile kicks in, and it starts homing towards the target by itself. But for that certain period of time, it has to be around this missile. And then they change their altitude right away, because they have to do that If they don't do that, then because they've left a signature, a heat signature as well, so they could be targeted by the air defense systems like HQ-9 in case of Pakistan or S-400 in case of India. So that's why all the aircrafts, they always do this maneuver. As soon as they launch their missiles, they guide it for a certain period of time, and then they break off, losing the altitude, because this intended missiles coming in, because we don't know if we're locked or not at that time. So, but the intention is that we know that at this height, if missile is locked, so if the aircraft goes into a deep dive, because these BVRs are fired normally from the optimum height ceiling of the aircraft, and the reason being because of the air density. It's gonna, if it's fired from closer to the surface of the Earth, because of the pollution, because of a lot of factors involved, the missile is not going to be into its optimum what you call the capabilities. So probably if the range is given 150 kilometers, let's say, the missile might go for 100 kilometers. But once fired from like 30,000 feet above ground level or 40,000 feet, the air density is lower, but it's still cleaner. So the missile is going to go towards its target at its optimum range. So normally, if the missile has a range of 250 kilometers, under perfect conditions, from height, it can go to about 200 plus minus 10 kilometers. It can't go to the 250 mark. It's always less than that, because there's no perfect weather in our world where it's gonna go for that long range. It's always gonna be 50 kilometers short in case of PL-15s we know now, or the Spice 1000 on the BVRs on Rafales. So it's always going to be less, 50 kilometers less. But what I'm saying is that once these missiles are fired, the aircraft, they do cranking and then they go back to the base. So once the MiG-21 was shot, it fell into Pakistani area about 20 to 30 kilometers into LOC. So it was well within the line of control. But the Su-30, on its turning back, it got hit. And because it got hit, they had to send a rescue helicopter. Now, this is a big blunder the Srinagar Air Defense System of India made. They should have confirmed, because if you have, there's a chain of command for, giving the kill command for anything. And the Su-30, because it got shot, so definitely the pilot ejected or it fell before the runway or whatever has happened, they had to send the rescue mission to rescue those pilots or see what has happened to the aircraft they sent. And Srinagar Air Base, they thought it was enemy helicopter. So their air defense, without confirming with Indian Air Force, the technical and the kill division, they shot the missile, and that hit the Mi-17, and about, I think, 6 of the senior officials got killed on that aircraft. So Pakistan claimed 1 kill, India claimed 1 kill, because that was on the news, and 1 kill is still, I mean, we have the signatures, the radar signatures. And for that, they also used the same thing about the Abhinandan shooting down the F-16. Imagine a rickshaw winning a race against a Mercedes. But I mean, the chief of the ex-chief of Indian Air Force mentioned his podcast before as well. Recently, he gave the podcast because he said, "Well, we on our radar there was an F-16 and that disappeared. So we think, and only Abhinandan was in that area. So that disappeared from radar. That means that it was killed." Now, the problem with that story is this is the F-16 that shot Su-30. And the second F-16 that shot Abhinandan's aircraft, they were at low level. They were not at high level. They were below radar level, so Indians didn't see them, and neither did Pakistanis see the MiG-21. But we had the information, so it got caught. So once that F-16 killed MiG-21 Bison, I think Hassan Siddiqui, Scholar Hassan Siddiqui, again, a 3-year-old boy, for me he's a boy, and the other one, the one which was at height, because Su-30s, they also operate on higher altitude. So the second F-16 by Wing Commander Hassan Siddiqui, that was on a pretty much higher altitude, because all these escorts, they fly in different levels. They don't fly on the same altitude. They're on different levels to cater, the altitude. So once he shot the fire, once he shot the missile, definitely the first thing a fighter pilot does is to change the altitude. If you're flying on a lower altitude, you go on to the higher altitude. If you're flying on a higher altitude, you go towards the lower altitude to cater the incoming air defense missiles from the rivals, from the enemies. So definitely what he has to do, he has to go below the Indians' radars. So once he shot him, okay, Allahu Akbar, and then he goes down and gets under the mountains, below the mountain level, and that's where Indians thought. So I'm giving them an advantage, yes, you could. But the thing is, at least Abhinandan, once we released him, he should have come out in public and said, we did it, I did it, before dying. But if you see the documentary made by the British aviation expert Alan something, and he was shown all the debris of Abhinandan's aircraft and the points where the missiles, Indian, I think R-73 missiles were loaded on, BVRs were loaded on MiG-21, which is a good missile. 2 on the right wing and 2 on the left wing. And he showed clearly that 2 on the right, because when the aircraft fell, when it got hit the ground, it hit on the right side. So the right BVRs, 2 of them were damaged, but you could still see the 2 rockets and 2 separate heads. You could still see them. But the left wing ones were totally intact. So if Abhinandan didn't fire any of those BVRs, which are capable of, going after F-16s, then why not he say it out? He never said it. So they gave him a kill, okay, in order to get their embarrassment a little lower. They just gave him that kill. Okay, take it and go. We don't care. We know that you are not capable of hitting any of the F-16s. Even pigs are better than you, as I said initially as well. So Pakistan, one of the F-16 was shot by a pig, a boar, a wild boar in Sargodha Air Base back in the 80s. And but Indian Air Force still 0. So you guys need to work a lot. Now you are working on the modern, the way Pakistan linked all the aircrafts among each other. So yeah, India should work hard, because the weapons we used in 2019, we had them in 2003. The weapons we used in 2025, May 7th, okay, we had them in 2022. So they were 3 years old. So next time when you're going to come, you don't know what we're going to do, because we have so many things up our sleeves which Indians can dream of. So India is just trying to catch up with Pakistan's strategy. I hope that one day they will cross us, but we are ready, and we are waiting for our J-35s to arrive in Pakistan within this year, or probably in the beginning of the next year. And then you forget about the air superiority, because what JF-35 is equipped with, I will tell you in the next video. See you next time. আল্লাহ হাফেজ।